So you just signed up for Twin. Congratulations. So what I want to do in this video is walk you through exactly how the platform works, what you're looking at, how to get the most out of it, and get you set up completely from scratch. So just to be super clear, what actually is Twin? So Twin is a little bit different to these typical automation tools that you may have used. Twin is not a chatbot, something that you just like ask questions and get a response from. It actually does the work of the thing that you're trying to do. Operationally, marketing, finance, it doesn't matter. Everything that you could possibly imagine can be done inside of Twin. It's also not a workflow builder. It's not something that you're, dragging and dropping different nodes and trying to, overcomplicate the entire automation process. The whole goal of Twin is for you to be able to, in natural language, explain the problem that you're having or explain the automation that you're having, and just have Twin automatically do it on its own without any help. So simply put, if you can describe the outcome that you want in plain English on Twin, you can get that result essentially. As soon as you've described what you want in Twin, it will go ahead and map out the plan, re-clarify with you what the plan is, and then from there, we'll go ahead and execute building that automation for you. And the best part is you can deploy it wherever you want. You can have it running automatically via triggers. And once it's built once, you don't ever need to change it. And if it breaks, it will fix itself just like, an employee would if they broke something, for example. So it's really cool in that sense. But now let's get into the actual application, how it works, how to use it, and how to get the most out of it ultimately. So the first thing that you're going to notice is you're going to see this kind of front page where it's going to ask you, what do you want to automate? In here, we give some examples, which you can see like inside of the chatbot, but you can also see inside of Discover as well. You can kind of see like, content marketing, customer support. You can try out these different automations that our users are already doing that are doing great for them if you don't already have some ideas. But typically speaking, if you're on this application, you probably have something that's glaringly obvious that you want to automate right now. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing I'd like you to do is set up some workspaces. Workspaces allow you to essentially separate the different projects that you're working on. So for example, if you're an agency, you might have your clients work that you're working on. That could be one workspace. You could have your team's workspace. You could have your personal life stuff. You could even have like gym and fitness related automations in there as well. You can separate all of these different things. And inside of every single workspace, there's different agents inside of a workspace. So it keeps everything nice and organized. And I would urge you when you use this application, definitely organize your workspaces correctly so that you can get the most out of it. Now, once you've created a workspace, as you can see, it's going to give you the option to brainstorm with Twin. And if you click on that, it's going to give you a few different ideas, and it will do this based on previous automations that you've built. But obviously, if you're looking at this completely fresh, it will, just ask you to essentially give it some more context. But as you start to use the application more, it will understand what your business is, understand the types of automations that you're building, and then it can like preemptively suggest ideas, which is super helpful. It's just like having an employee. Okay, so we know all about workspaces, how they work, but now let's talk about the Orchestrator, which is probably the most important part of Twin. Inside your workspace, the most important thing on your screen is the Orchestrator. That's the kind of chat panel on the left-hand side. And this is your command center, let's say, for everything. The Orchestrator has full context on every single agent in your workspace, their goals, the run history, their current state, and you can also, create, modify, manage different agents all inside of this Orchestrator. Now, the best thing about the Orchestrator is that you don't need to fill out a bunch of forms or, configure settings. You quite literally just describe in here in plain English exactly what you want, almost like you're talking to, a smart colleague, let's say. And then it will simply go ahead and do it. So the main bulk of the automations that you'll be building will be inside of this Orchestrator. So the workspace is to keep things organized, and the Orchestrator is there to actually do the thing you're looking to automate. So for example, you could say, every day I want you to log into my Gmail and pull any of the emails from my new leads, log them into a Google Sheet, and then also send me a Slack message with a summary of all these different leads. That's what the Orchestrator is for. It will then go ahead and plan out how to do this. What type of leads do you want to look at? Do you only want to look at leads that are qualified or unqualified? They'll actually ask you additional questions, and the Orchestrator uses a lot of thinking power in this process to make sure that the automations are well thought out, let's say. They're not just going to give you the most basic automation. It's going to really genuinely ask you some questions and say like, do you want it like this or do you want it like that? In exactly the same way that you would plan out your automations. It's really cool. And as a user of Twin, I like the fact that it actually asks me questions and pushes me in the right direction. If there's not too much context, it will help get me that context, almost like, you know, me discussing it with my team. And think of the Orchestrator as almost the manager of your entire Twin application. So now that we understand the workspaces and the orchestrator, now I want to explain the different modes that happen inside of Twin. Let's jump in. So when you give your orchestrator your goal, it's going to kick into what's called build mode. This is where your Twin uses its high reasoning AI to interpret your instructions. It will then go ahead and plan the steps, set up integrations, and also generate, automatic logic. So while you're building, you'll actually be asked to connect your accounts, things like Gmail, Google Sheets, Slack, HubSpot, etc. And usually it's just a simple one-click, OAuth connection, and there's no API keys needed. And the best part is it's just a simple one-click integration. Usually for most applications, it's not complicated. You literally just click the button and it's done. You don't have to go and find your API key or, get tokens or whatever. You can literally just click the button that Twin gives you and it will do it. Now, as the agent is building out your automation, you can actually watch it in real time on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll see the steps being planned out and executed. And if something looks off, you can easily jump in at the same time and, course correct it on the direction that it's going. Now, if your task requires you to interact with certain websites that don't have an API, what you can do is you can use our web-based agent, essentially. This is a cloud browser that we've created separately from your own computer, and it logs in, navigates, clicks, fills forms, and extracts data just in the same way that you would as a human being. You'll actually be able to watch it live inside of an embedded window inside of Twin, which is really cool. And because it's running in the cloud, your machine doesn't need to be on for it to do this. Now, once you finish the automation and everything's done, Twin will give you the option to see the results. All you're going to do then is just review the automation that it's built. Did it do the right data pull? Did it automate the actual thing that you wanted automated? Did the Slack notification come in, for example? You're just going to go ahead and just double check the work. 99% of the time it's good, but obviously, you should just double check that it's pulling the right information and so on. And if it is missing something or it did something wrong, you can literally just say it inside of the chat and just say, hey, add another column or, fix this, or I didn't get the Slack message, for example, and it will go ahead and fix that. The cool thing is small changes like that don't usually require an entire rebuild, and they're super fast and super cheap. Now, when you're happy with how it runs, you can just deploy it. And this is where Twin really starts to become like a working employee for you. The cool thing is once it's deployed, an agent can, run on a schedule just like an employee would. So you can set it up so it can run at 9 a.m. every single day, or every single hour, or every single Monday, or whatever you like. You can automate the entire process so that there's a trigger that happens and it's on a schedule that you set. Now, like I said, there's two different modes here, right? So there's build mode and there's run mode. And this is actually how Twin works under the hood. So let me explain how it works. There are two different modes. Like I said, build mode is when you're creating and updating an agent. This uses a high reasoning AI model and is the most credit intensive operation. This is basically means that it costs the most money. At this stage, Twin is doing a lot of thinking, it's planning, it's connecting things, and this is where it's going to be the most expensive. However, when we turn on run mode, which is when the automation is finished, this is where it's fully deployed and it's going to use a lightweight model that leverages everything that's already built inside the agent and does it for much cheaper, faster, and it's going to save you a bunch of credits. So it's important to understand that it's most expensive to make the automation, but once it's made, it doesn't cost a lot to run it, essentially. And the cool thing is, after every scheduled run, it costs a fraction of the cost of the original build cost because of the different modes that we operate in between build and run mode. Now, you don't need to be some prompt engineer genius to do this. You just have to explain it in plain English. And I like to give as much context as possible. Me personally, I like to, provide files, transcripts of calls if that's necessary, anything that I can to give Twin the extra context it needs to make the automation perfect in a one-shot prompt. And that's it. I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand a little bit more about what Twin is, how it works. And if you haven't already checked out our YouTube channel, I would urge you to do it, where I actually will build things on Twin that I sell, for, tens of thousands of dollars, or show you different automations that you can do with Twin, or even give you product updates every single week. I would urge you to check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.